People think the end of the world has come with Meta's Andromeda update, and it's all over X and YouTube with all these gurus giving these sensational headlines like their Facebook ads are falling apart and you need to do this because your sales are being killed type thing, which I think is fine for clickbait. But when I've gone in and watched their actual videos, it's clear that they don't really actually understand what Andromeda is, and the advice they're giving is incorrect. So it's made me have to come out of the shadows and correct some of these things and basically show you what are the myths people are saying with this new Andromeda update so that you're not making mistakes listening to their advice with your Facebook ads. So let's get right into it. Let's bust some of these myths that the gurus are telling you about, okay? So the first one I want to look at is that the biggest, I don't know, that's just the title. I want to look at this thing people are saying that Andromeda caused bad performance in September. This does not make logical sense. So Andromeda was rolled out in a phased form from January this year, okay? So you can see I have an engineering at Meta's post, which was back in December 2024, them basically giving us publications around Andromeda. And then it was phased out or phased in, I think in 3 stages over the course of the year. And people are reporting that Andromeda was in full implementation in July, okay? So I can't find anything to back that up from Meta's mouth officially. But I remember in that sort of time, and I have emails with our Meta rep, where the reps were heavily pushing it and doing presentations on it. So that probably is true because that's why Meta's rep team had a push to educate everyone on it and we're talking about it, okay? But I can't find anything saying, yes, Andromeda as of this date is 100% rolled out. So yeah, so logically it doesn't make sense. If it happened in January to July, why would your performance now be bad in September? The other thing, so yeah, your performance might be bad in September, that can be a fact, but it's not because of Andromeda. The other thing with the end of summer is we always have slower performance in e-commerce. And going before that, like we also always had slower performance in retail. When do retail shops always do their end of summer sale? Why are they doing an end of summer sale? Yes, on one hand, it's to get rid of the stock for the new season, but also sales are slowing. And why, like every year as retail been starting those summer sales earlier, obviously not like earlier than summer, but like if you look historically when I was a kid, this end of summer sale was always at the end of summer. Now it kind of runs after the first month of summer. They run it through the whole summer, okay? So yeah, it's just the nature of seasonality. That's always been a thing. You're always gonna have a lower period and then you go up in Q4 as you're probably seeing now in October, okay? And then finally, many advertisers were already following best practices that people are now suggesting, the gurus are now suggesting you need to do with Andromeda. So yeah, if they were already adopting best practices, why had they also suffered the consequences of September? Anyway, and by best practices, they were using the Power 5 or something and using creative to do the targeting. So if you look at the Power 5, it already spoke about account simplification. That's been a thing Meta have been suggesting for a long, long time. Advanced matching, I see some people talking about advanced matching. With Andromeda, well, that was always something best practice. We've been using API to send stuff to Meta for a long time. Yeah, that's probably all I want to say on that one, okay? So that's the first myth. The next myth is that you must launch very different ads in every ad set. That's not true. So Andromeda, the whole point of Andromeda is it's able to pull from millions of ads. So you can see here I have a quote from the Andromeda publication. It says, retrieval is the first step in our multi-stage ads recommendation system. This stage is tasked with selecting ads from tens of millions of candidates into a few thousand relevant ad candidates. So to show anyone an ad on Meta's platforms, Andromeda is a new system where it's better at pulling from more starting assets and narrowing that down further, okay? So saying that you need to put all your ads in the same ad set, you need to have like very different ads, but they have to be in the ad set, doesn't make logical sense, because even if you had it in a different ad account, Meta would be able to go and find it, because it's now, with Andromeda, it's making better at finding millions of ads to start and then shortlist that down, okay? So it doesn't have any issue finding it. You putting it in the physical location of being in the same ad makes zero logical sense based on what Andromeda is meant to be doing, what the advantage of Andromeda is. It's almost like contradicting the benefits, okay? The second point to this is there's no official documentation saying this. Where I think it comes from is the Meta reps. Big brands, big voices, the Meta reps will tell them something and then they'll go and publish that to the world, okay? But what I want you always to remember is don't take something reps say as gospel. If something has been published on Meta's documentation officially, it's obviously going to go through a review process before it's allowed to go out into the world. Reps are humans and they're salespeople, they're not technical people. They can misinterpret something that they've been given in their training that they then need to go and promote to advertisers. And they can also just say stuff that is their interpretation of documentation rather than an actual fact, okay? And that's the case I've had as well. So I'll challenge my reps. People on YouTube, a lot of the gurus, the big channels especially, they're not actually running ads at a high level because they're at the stage where they have an agency and, you know, as part of their marketing for the agency, they're doing the YouTube, or they might have a brand even, but they have someone else doing the ads, or they're not doing the ads to a super technical level because they're having to manage all parts of the business. They just don't have the time to be looking at documentation and being an expert in the actual Meta specific part, okay? But I scrutinize the things the reps say. So you can see here, back in July, my rep was trying to basically shit on my way of setting up campaigns, even though the brands are performing. And they even got like some other person on from the creative department to try and tag team against me and get me to change my whole ad account structure that was performing, and gave bold statements like Andromeda is obsolete when ads aren't grouped together. The Meta rep put this in an email in bold. Okay, show me the official documentation that explains that. As basically I said, okay, if this is what you're saying, as a bold statement, show me some official documentation that supports that. Obviously, they have nothing to show because it's not true. It's their interpretation or the hearsay. And then people are spreading this. This is the problem, okay? And then I basically gave them the argument that, well, your actual technical documentation says Andromeda shortlist ads from tens of millions of ad candidates into 2,000 relevant ad candidates. Exactly what I was saying to you, okay? So like I said, reps or salespeople, don't just take what they say as gospel. It's generalized advice. Here's another example. Case study on Meta's website. Gotta remember, Meta's a business. It's trying to get you to spend more so they can make more money, as well as trying to help you. The reps aren't just there to help you, they're there to get you spending more money. And once you reach a high level of scale on Meta ads, what you'll find is you get like a new type of rep, and they're always trying to get you to spend money on tests that help you, backed by these case studies, because they need the data. They need people to test it so they can roll it out, and they need you to spend the money to do that, okay? So here you have a case study saying use multiple creatives in your ad sets for lower CPAs. So that's something reps can pull on, or like people can pull on to justify putting ads in the ad set. But this is from 2023 anyway. But the main thing is look at how they've done the test. If you look at this actual case study, which I will do when people are trying to challenge how I run things. Okay, cell 1, Advantage Plus app campaign with 10 different ad sets, ad creatives. So the cell was the ad set essentially. So cell 2's got 30 ads in the ad set, and cell 3 has 50 ads in the ad set. So they've deduced from this that, well, this cell 3 with 50 in the ad set does better, therefore more creatives in the ad set improves performance. But they've not tested okay, let's test a campaign with 50 ad sets, all with one ad. So the same thing, just set up differently. They've not done that test, they've just done this one test. They just from this information that, okay, 50 did better than these two, therefore that is a hard rule now, and people run with it, okay? So this is what you need to do. You need to scrutinize what the reps say, or you don't need to scrutinize them, let me do it for you, just watch what I'm saying and copy what I'm doing, okay? That's the other thing that you could do with this. So the final thing on this one, before we move on, I kind of blabbed on a bit there, is I watched Nick's video, and I'd say I agree with everything Nick said in his video. He seems to actually be one of the few that got it right and knows what he's talking about. But yeah, he was basically saying he actually split test this, all your ads in an ad set versus having the ads in across different ad sets, as we both probably show you. And there was zero difference. So there you go, zero difference. Ignore it, right? So that's a myth. If you're hearing people say that, they're talking nonsense. If the reps are pushing you to move to that, I push back on mine, just tell them to get lost, okay? And this was in July. Performance is great for us. So it's obviously doesn't matter. The next one is you need to launch more ads, 20 to 30 a month. Everyone is losing their shit about, oh no, we have to now create way more ads because Andromeda needs more ad creative to reach different audiences. This is not correct. You don't need to launch more ads, and you certainly don't need to, as a standard, be launching 20 to 30 ads a month. The whole point of generative AI is to help creative volume, okay? So let's say you normally run 5 ads a month. Well, generative AI is there to help create tons of different ad variations so that you can serve to different people. So if you're creating one image ad, but it needs to target like old people, young people, males, females, people like sustainability, people like very slick design. Let's just take the option of color. Well, generative AI can create all those different colors. It can create different environments. You know, if someone's using your product outdoors, someone's using it for snow environments. It creates all that stuff to hit all these different audiences. So you're not needing to make the ad. So your one ad could become 10 different ads to meet 10 different audiences, okay, that the product would be relevant to. So the whole point of generative AI is to do that. You can see it here, another quote. So the use of generative AI combined with automation makes it easier for advertisers to upload more volume and diversity of creative. Okay, so that's helping you do the volume. You don't need to be doing more volume. And Meta also, the auction algorithm takes quality into account, okay? I'm of the school of thought, quality over quantity. All these people that have been doing massive volume and are now like changing to some of the things I'll tell you later about with Andromeda are like, yeah, they were not getting success because they were doing volume of stuff that isn't correct, isn't targeting properly, okay? Quality over volume has always been my argument, and now people are moving to the idea that you need to be doing that quality, you need to be more targeted, more specific in your ads, but they're also keeping this mindset of you need volume as well. So I don't believe it, it's not correct. Quality over quantity, and you can see here that this bit here, is this, so in the auction algorithm, is this a high quality ad? Okay, that doesn't mean quality in terms of how high detailed is the ad or anything. It means quality in terms of relevance to the person that you're trying to target. And then finally this one here, so creative requirement by unique business metrics. You should be doing your creative requirements by unique business metrics, not just some 20 to 30 a month standard number essentially, okay? So if, yeah, this is what we started doing, so this is what we're doing for Q4. I want to know how much I'm spending on Meta, and then from there I'm going to work back to how many ads I need to do to be able to spend that much based on how many current live concepts that we got, our current level spend, what is the average monthly of ad spend per each of those concepts, what is our hit rate that we get, so 1 in 5 ads essentially, or we get our winners. So we can take that into account and calculate how many ads we need to be testing, okay? So every single business is going to be unique, and every single business is going to have their own requirement based on their goals essentially and how good you are. You know, if you've got a lower hit rate, people who are doing more volume, they're probably going to have a lower hit rate than me, but they're able to do more volume. We can't physically do more volume, but we've got a high hit rate, so it kind of balances out. And yeah, I'll probably do a video on that at some point soon and show you how you calculate this. Because yeah, if you're spending $1,000 a month, you certainly don't need to be doing 20 or 30 ads. That probably costs more in creative production than your actual ad spend. And then the last one of the myths is that you must cut ads faster with Andromeda because it's faster at retrieving them, faster at optimizing. And after 3 to 4 days, you need to cut ads. So this is not a general thing, but I saw one of the big channels saying this, and I have to call it out because it's just not true. Meta's weekly budget pacing makes results under a 1 week unreliable. So Meta's budget pacing, where they're going to spend, so let's say you have got $10 a day as your daily budget. They're not going to spend $10 every single day. They might spend $20 in the first couple of days and then like $5 at the end of the week. So Meta introduced this like the end of last year, I think, where they weight how the budget is spent, but you still spend the same average daily budget over the course of the week, and then it resets every Sunday. That means you can't pause something after 3 or 4 days because you don't have that next part of the week. So what might happen, and what we see in our accounts, is Meta will spend more like start of the week, and what it's going to be doing is going to be pushing into colder people. You'll get more sessions to your website, and then what it will do is it will at the end of the week spend less. It's got less budget to spend because it's spent high at the start of the week, but it's probably now going to hit people more and like really knock them into the ground to make them convert. So you've got way better efficiency at the end of the week. Okay, so I'm not saying this is general. This is like in the account I run, this is what I'm seeing, but everyone's going to have the budget pacing. So anyway, if we in this situation pause an ad after 3 or 4 days in that first part of the week, we're getting it when it's the worst conversion time, and we might say that ad's bad, but actually it's just generating all this traffic, and it was going to work out at the end of the week once those people converted, when Meta's just like increasing the frequency essentially. Okay, so that's the first thing to spell in that one. The next one is that customer journeys, some customer journeys are longer, and 3 days is too early to make a decision. If you turn an ad off for 3 days and it's a longer customer journey, they just take more consideration time. Sure, some of your ads you may check them at a later date and you'll see those purchases then come in, like especially if you've got a third-party attribution tool. But you've also lost a lot of data in what would be happening with that ad if it just kept showing to that same person. You know, maybe your other ads are doing some of the work when you've turned it off. So yeah, customer journeys are longer than 3 days. So a good measure is a week. But even if sometimes I have a longer customer journey, I know I have a longer customer journey for certain products, I may give an additional week to a creative. And also, yeah, so that's that. The final thing, if an ad is bad after it's optimized, so even if Andromeda is faster at optimizing, well, Meta's just not going to give stuff that's not good spend if it's optimized it and said it's not good, okay? It's going to stop spending on it. There are situations where it will spend on bad creatives, bad for you, because they have high engagement, high ability to generate engagement. Again, I'm not just talking about likes and comments. Engagement is just people stopping, interacting with the ad in some form. So in that situation, Meta might give it spend, but it's not helping you, and we might stop ads early. So like I might pause an ad after 1 day of testing because it's just too damaging to the business. It's too destructive that I have to have it turned off. Even if, yes, after 3 weeks of it running, maybe that traffic would convert very well and we'd have a net gain. I can't take that risk. I can't run the business with all the spend going to a bad ad, or like an ad that's taking all the engagement but not getting conversions for that length of time. So what I might do is I might take them, segment them to another campaign, run them on a lower budget, and with that hypothesis in mind, and see like, okay, what does this do? Does it bring more traffic, and does that traffic then give us a net gain over the course of a month? So that's the kind of things you might do with that. But anyway, that's the myths busted, the main myths they are talking about. because I just took a bunch of transcripts and videos and put them into ChatGPT and summarized them. So there might be other things they're saying, but those are the main ones that people are saying. Let's now give them some kudos and also help you guys know what you should be doing, okay? So what are the biggest Andromeda truths from the gurus? First thing is that you must use audience-specific creative and messaging. Absolutely agree with this, although it's not something new to Andromeda. You should have been doing this for years. I've been teaching you to do this for like 2 years now. And even when I very first started running Meta ads, this is stuff that people were doing. We had a guy in the agency I worked for where his whole role was like doing copywriting research, and he'd go into like the personas in a super detailed level. So yeah, this has always existed. This is nothing new, but certainly in the last 2 years, this has been a big part of the thing that I've been promoting, where we've moved to this world of creative now doing the targeting using broad audiences, okay? So creative needs to target specific people, not be general. You can see here, Meta even saying it, by uploading multiple creatives with different themes and messages, business can leverage Meta's AI to test and optimize their ads at scale. Also, this next part, this unlocks new opportunities for reaching relevant customers and in some cases, even finding new audiences, okay? So that's one part of Andromeda that is new. It's better ability to go and find more ads and pair them with more granular people that are granular audience means you having that specific targeting on your creative is going to be even more efficient now. So you might have had it before, but it still had to go to a kind of broad pool of people, targeted but still broadish. Now it can get really, really granular. That's the benefit of Andromeda. So you should have been doing this before, but it's now going to be even better. Targeting with creative as well, I'll say, can be both explicit and implicit in your messaging. So a lot of people are saying you need to get specific messaging, which they're correct on, but I have seen some people start to say, you need to be calling out specific audiences. Not quite correct. Messaging just means how do you target someone, okay? That can be implicit and explicit, as I said. So here I have this easy example to show the targeting. Explicit targeting, I could say, this one's for females, right? Female gaze. Explicit, I could be like, hey girls, get this bikini for your vacation. Explicit, I've called out girls to target girls. Implicit, I could be like, this is the implicit version. The implicit version is it's just a photo from the female gaze. So it's an attractive girl on a tropical place, sitting at the front of the canoe, looking back. Who's she probably looking back at? Her boyfriend, her husband, her partner, who she's deeply in love with. It's an amazing shared experience. That is a fantasy of women. Women are going to see an image like that, and that's the fantasy they can have in their mind. And the product is a gateway to that dream situation, okay? That's implicit targeting. A guy doesn't care about all that stuff. Implicit for a guy with the bikini, he's going to look at this ass and be like, that's nice. He's sexually attracted to it. You've cut out all that other shit. That's going to target him, okay? So these are not ads. This is just me just showing you how implicitly a creative can target specific people. So that's just gender, but that's happening on every level. If you're like someone who's into CrossFit, for example, I have a backpack, and my friend, so he's a powerlifter. I have a backpack that's just a general backpack. You would have seen one of these tactical backpacks, but he's into powerlifting. So to him, that was a powerlifting backpack, okay? It has an implicit targeting of powerlifting, even though it's just a tactical backpack, which they use for CrossFit, people use for traveling. Whatever group it's from, they're going to see that implicitly as their thing, okay? So that's kind of how that works. The next thing that they got right is that you need greater creative variety, which is true. Every user's content is curated. If I look at my Explore feed on Instagram and I look at my friends, it's very different, both in terms of what we're seeing, what we're interests or hobbies, but also the types of creatives. So if you look at mine, I get way more videos. I'm not going to read like these images that have all this text on it, but other people will get that stuff in their feed because that's the stuff they like doing. If they like reading whatever, I don't. I get like short form video, that's all I kind of watch. Okay, so that's one thing. So you basically need to match the content they're seeing. So if you're trying to target a supplement to yoga girls, well, they've probably got very aesthetic, healthy type content, feminine. You need a creative that targets that. If you're going to take the same supplement, let's say it was creatine, and you're then going to target the bodybuilders or something, you've got way more like muscle guy, like hardcore alpha gym stuff, darker colors, like boom, fire, whatever. Very different type of content they're seeing, okay? And then maybe you've got the, maybe you're trying to target like, like old people. You've got longer form videos that are slower, less like high adrenaline, clickbaity, TikToky stuff, because that's the type of content they consume on the platform. They need the longer stuff, okay? That's the kind of thing you can do with variety. But again, guys, this is nothing new with Andromeda. I was saying this, look, March 31st, 2024, a year and a half ago, was telling you make creative, target with creative, and you need to do that by making the format, the subject demo, as in the actual actor. Are they black? Are they white? Are they posh? Are they not? Are they a girl? Are they a guy? Are they tattooed? Are they a skater? Are they, do they look like a rapper? Like the subject demo targets, the dialect, are they from the South? You want to target people from the South? Probably best to have someone that has an accent from the South because it's going to resonate more with the people. The same way, if you're going to target other people up in the North, having a person with a dialect from the North is going to resonate better with them. If it's an expat, having a guy for broken French accent is going to resonate with them, whatever, okay? Color, messaging, culture, scene, style. Go watch the video, you'll see all the different ways to target. That's not changed. That's just people think this is new. This was always the way, okay? And it's, like I said, it's getting better now because Andromeda is able to retrieve and be more granular with who it's giving or serving your ads to. And then I think this is the final thing. They say testing minor creative tweaks does not work. 100%, yep, agree. Again, not new. So Advantage Plus Creative and Generative AI changed this a long time ago, because as soon as you had Advantage Plus Creative, Generative AI, people making different sizes, making like a portrait version for stories, a square version for the feed, a 4x5 for Instagram. That went out a long time ago, and I've always talked about videos where like make one creative so it can sit across all placements. Now Generative AI, Advantage Plus Creative is making that even better. Meta can just change the size how it wants. And also the backgrounds, where you might have to make like a blue background on a supplement ball for a guy, pink background for girls. Meta can just do that like millions times for every single person. So there's no point in you doing it. Like you're just wasting your time doing that. Meta's going to do that, okay? And that's one reason I've moved away from using Flex ads, because I've been ghosting for the last 6 months, but I was saying use Flex ads. I'm now not using them, not because of performance difference. I think it's kind of not much in it, but it's this whole being able to utilize generative AI. It's just not a part of Flex ads. So you have to use the single image or single video ads in order to benefit from generative AI, to access generative AI. Although I don't think it's in videos, it's just in images mainly, but hey, I'm sure they'll introduce it to videos first if they do, okay, over Flex. And then the last thing is machine learning makes it hard to beat your existing ads. So there's examples, the ad auction, okay, takes machine learning into account for the ad quality, okay? So what did it say? To generate an ad quality score, our machine learning models consider the feedback of people viewing or hiding the ads. What people are doing to your actual ad gets fed back into your ad quality. That ad quality is then going to improve over time with machine learning. So that ad's going to do better than if you did the same ad as a fresh ad, because it doesn't have all that machine learning backing up the ad quality score, okay? It's not going to be as good at targeting from people giving feedback on the ad, okay? And I have instances where there's one example that always comes to my mind where we've literally re-uploaded the same video with one tiny change and it's not performed. So there's a video we had where a feature of the product changed. So the video was the same, it's just we had like a call out that said, this part is actually removable. The visual looked the same, but we just took that text away because it was no longer removable. They just glued it into place. and that ad no longer performed. The other ad had been running for like 4 months or something. Great performance, massive amount of spend. The replacement just would not gather spend, and we turned off the original, and the new one was just still not picking up it was picked up the spend, but it wasn't getting the ROI. And that all comes down to machine learning. The original had the machine learning, even though there was a tiny change in the creative, doesn't matter. Machine learning's in that old ad. You making a new creative as a new ad, it's not going to be able to beat it. So stop wasting your time making small adjustments. Make big adjustments, but I will caveat to that because I've seen people giving wrong advice. That doesn't mean don't test when you're doing one test. Lots of ads with subtle differences. So like if I do one video as a video concept, yes, absolutely test 3 different hooks on that video. Even though it's just the hook changing, that is you trying to establish what's the best one initially from that creative. Once you have that best one, then yes, don't necessarily make subtle changes to it. Don't go into frame like 4 and try and switch out the frame with like a different video. That's not going to work. But absolutely changing something like a hook when you're testing, and even on that, once you found the winner, go look at, let's see if we just change this hook, what will happen. Those are actually big swings. Those are not minor tweaks. That can make a massive difference in the performance of an existing ad, okay? Because it's a bigger swing than just changing a little frame or something. So that's been a long one, guys. I actually thought this would be quick, but I hope that's been valuable for you. And you can see some of these myths busted, and it's taken long because I've given you all this evidence to back it up. I wanted to support it with evidence because everyone's just talking out their arse and it's not true. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed my return. If you're new to the channel, go watch some of the other stuff. You'll see things are a bit different, and I'm hoping to come back to doing more YouTube videos because I'm now working as like a head of growth for brands, and I'm doing way more than just Meta ads, but I'm still obviously running at Meta ads every day. And yeah, I've been doing a lot of cool stuff, which I've obviously not been sharing because I've not been making YouTube videos, but my accounts are performing. We're doing massively interesting things, and I'm doing a lot of things differently that will be viable to show you. And when I can, I will show you those things. Okay, so guys, thanks for watching and catch you soon.